Well, good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream. I'm going to do your August the 2nd spiritual principle, a day in a meditation. Sorry I've delayed, but we're here together now. So let's enjoy this time. The title of the meditation, With Independence Comes Responsibility. Learning to make a decision for ourselves also means accepting responsibility for those decisions. Now, that comes from the Living Clean book. Chapter 6, Finding Our Place in the World. We aren't alone and we can't recover alone, but our commitment to mutual support doesn't negate our independence or the responsibility that attaining it and sustaining it demands. With all the apt suggestions we provide each other, our decisions about how we live are our own. And learning to live with those choices is its own beast. Some members define responsibility as the willingness to accept the consequences of our actions. Even clean, we have to keep learning the lesson that our choices aren't made in a vacuum. They affect those around us. When we find ourselves thinking once again, I'm only hurting myself, it's time for a closer look. We may want to exercise freedom of choice with more awareness and care. And other members say, careful what you pray for, you just might get it. Often when we do get what we want, it's a whole other world of responsibility that is ours to manage. A romantic partnership, getting our kids back, a career, property, a new puppy. All of these are gifts we must care for in order to sustain. We keep what we have only with vigilance and also with commitment, discipline, patience, acceptance, passion, and a lot of love. Another aspect of taking responsibility for our independence is when inevitably we are faced with other people's opinions about a new direction we choose. At times that I told you so reaction we get makes us defensively dig ourselves further into a bad choice, or someone else's response spurs us to run from a good one. Blaming others gets us nowhere. Practicing independence requires an honest assessment of our choices in the face of others' reactions. We've always heard members say, the more I make new mistakes rather than repeating old ones, the more I know I'm making headway in my life. I'm doing the best I can at living fully and owning my independence. I can live with my choices, and if not, I can make different ones. Let's take a moment of silence followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. How powerful is that? With independence comes responsibility. And no matter how many suggestions people give me, no matter how powerful the therapeutic value of one addict helping another be is without parallel, at the end of the day, I am still faced with what am I going to do? And when am I actually going to do it? It's still my decision. And I think sometimes we come in and we kind of hobble along using crutches, using our sponsors, the reason why we do or don't do something, instead of learning to become fully self-supporting in a spiritual sense, right? In the sense, now I'm not talking about self-sufficiency. I'm talking about being able to support my existence, my decisions, my whatever it is I'm in, and owning my part, owning my responsibility. If I choose to be in a relationship, with that comes responsibility. Because now I'm saying I want to interact with you on a regular basis. However that looks, I've decided to be in a relationship with you. Then there's behaviors that go with that. And sometimes there's unrealistic expectations, but one of the most general ones that's a foundation for an intimate relationship is that we engage each other on a regular basis, whatever that looks like. So when things don't go my way and I'm in a relationship with you, that doesn't mean that I get to all of a sudden use the silent treatment on you. The exact opposite. It pulls me more towards you in wanting to understand why you're doing what you're doing and explaining why I feel the way I feel and finding out what our common ground is. Independence brings responsibility, and a lot of times people don't want the responsibilities, so they stay dependent because it's easier to say such and such did such and so I did this. My husband did this, so I did that. My wife brought this, and so I reacted this way. At the end of the day, it's your own character that you have to take ownership for, whether it's good or bad. And at the end of the day, as it points out here, if something's going on and I've made a bad decision, okay, I get to make another one in a responsible manner. I don't necessarily get to change suddenly and throw people off guard that are dependent on whatever I previously presented. Give you a quick example and I'll let you go. I don't want it to make it too deep, okay? So I agreed to chair a meeting every other, let's pick a day, every other Wednesday at my home group. I agree to chair a meeting. And they ask upfront that you make this commitment for 6 months. Some groups are only 3 months, right? But they ask that you make this particular commitment to chair a meeting at this particular time and that you arrive at least 15 minutes before the start of the meeting and that you will chair that until it ends, the time ends, right? So it's 6 months, about 2.5 months into it. I'm not liking the particular group of people that are actually showing up at that meeting. And I don't know how to maintain an atmosphere of recovery. And so I'm like, 1 week, I might find a substitute for myself. The next week, I don't even show up until right on time for the meeting to start. I'm not there 15 minutes early. The next week, I'm not even there on time. I come 10 minutes late and someone else has had to start the meeting. And then I get an attitude because they're sitting in the chair seat, right? And then I need to make a ruckus to take back my own responsibility that I showed up late for. I get offended by that and have an attitude. So the next week, I don't even show. And I do that for about 2 weeks. And I don't take any phone calls from the people from the group that are calling to find out, hey, GSR is calling me. I'm not going to take that call. I'm not going to return that text. If I was actually still chairing the meeting, I would be there. They should know that I quit that responsibility. There's a whole lot that's wrong with that. Yeah, I made a decision and I can change my decision at any time. If I made a decision and it no longer works for me, I can change my mind. but it it has to be done responsibly. There's a way to do it. I'm not suggesting that you just hold on to the commitment and it's killing you for 6 months. I'm not suggesting that. I'm suggesting that if you want out of that, be mindful before you take on another commitment, but also to go about it and handle it the right way. Put everything in place so that the meeting is not lacking because you change your mind. That's a very minor example. But we change the flick a lot of times, even in our relationships with people, and we expect them to just fall in line because we've had a change of mind and heart. And that's not life. That's not realistic. Yeah, we're independent. We don't want to blame other people for our problems anymore. But it comes over time, we develop the level of integrity, honesty, open mindedness, willingness. These are all things that are enveloped in being responsible. My name is Mighty Stream. I've enjoyed talking to you today. I hope that you will have a beautiful day on purpose.